Hi. In the 1920s, the conflict between fundamentalists and modernists contributed to the infamous Scopes trial of 1925. In this court case, conservative Protestant, Presbyterian and Democratic politician William Jennings Bryan played a central role in a legal dispute over the teaching of Darwinism in the Tennessee public schools. The Scopes trial took place during a period of conflict over many social issues ranging from alcohol prohibition to the political resistance against the campaigns of prominent Catholic politicians. Fundamentalists battled to control churches and began to create independent institutions. They were trying to resist the modernist trends in theology and the secularization of higher education. This case was illegal in nature. Statute provided that a special grand jury could not be called so close to the convening of the regular grand jury, which happened when the teacher, John Scopes, was arrested. The case was not pursued by the defenders of the anti-evolutionary legislation, but rather the American civil liberties, so that they could have a test case to push to test these limits on the anti-evolutionary laws that were starting to come into existence. That the Scopes trial was commercially encouraged for financial gain for the town of Dayton, Tennessee, it was reflected through the curious circumstances that surrounded this trial. What events caused this trial to take place? On January 28, 1925, the lower house of the Tennessee legislature passed the Butler Bill, which forbid the teaching of evolution in public schools. It was enacted by the Tennessee Senate on 13 March 1925. It was signed into law on March 21st, 1925. On May 5th, the school board of Dayton, Tennessee decided to test the legislation by swearing a warrant for the arrest of John Scopes, one of their teachers. Mr. Scopes was arrested on May 7th and bound over to a grand jury on May 10th. After the American Civil Liberties Union in New York confirmed its intention of defending the teacher, Mr. Scopes, Charles Darrow was appointed as his lawyer. On May 13th, William Jennings Bryan announced he would be counsel for the prosecution. A special grand jury indicted John Scopes on May 25th. The trial began with a new indictment and a jury selection on July 10th. Scopes was pronounced guilty on July 21st, after which Judge Rolston fined him the $100 minimum fine, which was paid by the Baltimore Sun. As you can see from the players involved in this case, it was not the case of a local teacher being prosecuted. It was more of a case of national organizations using this trial as a showpiece to push the legal issues of the modernist versus the fundamentalist in secular organizations. In this case, in a public school in Tennessee. The end result was that Mr. Scopes was found guilty. But the crux of the prosecution was against him, but what it was actually against was against the school book or the textbook that had been provided by the state of Tennessee that had the evolutionary or the Darwinism was inside of their text. So Mr. Scopes was found guilty. His fine was paid by the Baltimore Sun. He did no jail time. He continued to teach. And eventually the case was overturned under the auspices of separation of church and state. Thank you.